Hi, this is my review of Era the Consortium, The Secret War. This is a supplement that deals with all of those undercover, espionage, sabotage type of operations that are so common in the war between the Consortium and the Resistance, and even between the corporations of the Consortium. Before we begin, let me inform you that the Kickstarter for the next wave of Era the Consortium expansions has already been funded, but now it's going to end on December 2nd. So if you want to become a backer, I recommend that you head over there. I'm going to put the link in the description below, so you can unlock all of those extra goodies. So please check that out. Now let's talk about the quality of the Secret War. I only have two criticisms of the quality, and they are quite minor. I did find a few typos. They were not a big deal. And the character sheets are slightly blurry, just a bit. And those are my only criticisms when it comes to the quality. Everything is well organized and written. You do not have bookmarks, but you do have a hyperlinked table of contents. I really like the writing style of how Ed Jowett communicates the psychology and the lifestyle of the Shades and Phantoms, that are the two type of characters that are featured in this expansion. They are the knife in the dark of Hayden Vank, and they are also the eyes and the fist of the Resistance. The book has a lot of fiction, and each part of that fiction, each short story and report of those agents of Hayden Vank and the Resistance that have this secret war going on, serve as plot seeds, as the beginning of an entire campaign. Everything is organized in the timeline, so it's quite easy for you to look at a particular year or a particular period and go to your core rulebook of Era the Consortium and build a campaign around the events described in those short stories, in those reports. There is a lot to like about the lives of the Shades and the Phantoms, at least from a strategic and tactical perspective. You could think that the Shades are the bad guys and the Phantoms are the good guys. But the strongest aspect of this expansion is that they are both quite driven. Both types of agents think that they are doing the right thing. Sure, you could say that they are rationalizing things, but for example, the Shades that serve Hayden Vank believe that they are the ones who set order, who put things in a certain track for the betterment of the Consortium. And the Phantoms consider themselves to be the protectors because the Shades are killing all of those that go against their idea of order, and the Phantoms are there to stop the Shades. So you have two almost obsessively driven forces with their own objectives and plans for the future of the entire Consortium. You will see in the fiction how the Shades have to go through a very cruel method of training, preparation, and selection. It's not easy to become a Shade. Most of the Shades, in fact, they work alone, in complete secrecy. They go through these death trials, almost like last man or last woman standing at the end, where everybody else dies. They simply cannot afford to leave any witnesses. If you enter the Shade training program, you are not getting out of that alive unless you are selected as a Shade. And in contrast, the Phantoms were created as a sort of like response to the Shades. The Shades are there to steal information, to kill those that are inconvenient. They are also there to spy and infiltrate, both physically and through networks, and all for the betterment of the Consortium according to Hayden Vank's views. When it comes to the Phantoms, they are like the antidote to the Shades. The Resistance was taken by surprise from the Shades' activity. Nobody knows for sure since when the Shades began operating, But the resistance immediately became aware that they needed to counter this force through the phantoms. So you will see this cloak and dagger, spy versus spy sort of situation, and they battle it out across the years, each side trying to gain the upper hand over the opposing force. All of that is communicated quite excellently in the fiction. You will witness some of the most cruel and vile acts by the part of the Shades, even though they consider these acts as a necessary evil. You will see how disasters and calamities were orchestrated even by the apparent victims, so that the public views them in a positive light, furthering their own agenda. And when it comes to the phantoms, they are there to create ambushes. They plant false information to lure members of the Consortium or the Shades, even the Shades, into situations where they cannot escape and where death is the only outcome. You will also see the use of all sorts of weapons and maneuvers and plans. Morality and ethics are non-existent when it comes to the battle between Shades and phantoms. Each section of this fiction can be used to play out the birth of any of those forces. You could focus the campaign on the creation of the Shades, or you could focus it on the response by the part of the phantoms, on how they tackle the Shade problem. And all of that finesse, all of that subtlety and delicate touch when carrying out espionage, infiltration, assassination, discovering your enemies, exploiting them, moving in the midst of different groups without being discovered, being a knife in the dark, ready to stab or root out the problem for the Consortium or for the Resistance. You have an entire chapter dedicated to the creation of a character as a Shade or as a Phantom. There are some differences between both types of agents. They could be similar in some respects, but let's talk about specifics. The Shades are dedicated to gathering information. They work entirely for Hidden Bank, although they do view themselves as very important agents. If a Shade considers that a situation is better left untouched or modified, even if it goes against the will of the CEO of Hidden Bank, they will do it. They have been trained to work for the improvement of Hidden Bank and the well-being of the Consortium, even if the CEO of Hidden Bank thinks otherwise, if he wishes or she wishes some different avenue to change the course of action or to keep things as they are. The Shade will move things. They are harbingers that will act according to their own training. So there is a bit of a trust and mistrust relationship between Hidden Bank and the Shades. And when it comes to the Phantoms, they were born of great necessity. It's a team of the best that the Resistance has to offer. They have gone to great lengths in training and technology because the Shades are incredibly skilled in hand-to-hand combat, in the use of different weaponry, in the use of different devices, gear, all sorts of things that they can use, and they will dare to do anything as long as they reach a certain objective. So the Phantoms have to match them. Even if the Phantoms try to be idealistic at first, after confronting the Shades, they soon realize that they have to resort to the same methods or perhaps even more lethal, more destructive. Both sides have to do their very best in this war of shadows and darkness. An important difference between Shades and Phantoms is that a Shade usually operates alone. It is because of the grueling, cruel training process that a single Shade remains from many other individuals that were killed during training. So they act alone, but they are quite skilled, quite powerful, you could say, in their dark area of operation. So the Phantoms usually work in cells as they try to gain clues and root out who is a shade and who is acting against the resistance or has already infiltrated the resistance. So there are a lot of moments where counter agents need to act quickly. But if you are, for example, a shade, you'll have to face an entire group that is focused on destroying you. So it's a very interesting fight that is asymmetrical in the organization of the opposing forces. You also have information on specifics of character creation, what level you need to be in order to become a shade or a phantom. You are usually recruited after you reach a certain level. So many of the shades and phantoms are of very high level, and you need to have low notoriety because of course you wouldn't be an effective agent if everybody notices you, if you're too famous. You also have information on the race and background. For example, the shades can only be humans, they do not trust aliens, but phantoms, they accept any race in their ranks. You also have information on the types of implants and equipment that they use. All of those implants and gear are specific to a particular operation of espionage, sabotage, assassination, disinformation. So you have things such as repair nanites, adrenaline controllers, anti-material rifles. You have the famous shade armor. You also have security drones. Those are used quite a bit by the shades. So you have all the information on implant masking technology, phantom equipment, quantum entanglement communicators, everything that allows you to move unseen and to strike unseen, even to kill your enemy before your enemy even notices that you are there. You also have a shade vessel that looks really awesome. And then we have a chapter detailing everything on how a game master should run things in a secret war type of campaign. So we have general advice on what the shades are, what are the phantoms, the differences that I was telling you about, and when to use them and when not to. They could be quite specific to a particular campaign. This is Era the Consortium, so there are shady activities and all sorts of activities behind curtains are expected, but some campaigns could feature that in a bit stronger way or in a weaker way, so it's up to you if you decide to introduce shades and phantoms. And you have suggested campaigns that take you from the very beginning of an agent as he or she operates in the Consortium and Resistance War. And you also have a player versus player type of campaign that I don't want to give too many spoilers. It could be players watching, because if I tell you just a bit about it, I think you will lose a bit of the enjoyment of such a player versus player type of campaign. And at the end, you have some templates if you want to create a shade character or a phantom type of character. So what do I think of Era the Consortium, the Secret War? This feels similar to Rapier. If you haven't seen my review of Rapier, I'm going to put a link in the description below, because I don't think it's necessary, but it's a very cool addition if you want to play out that aspect of Era the Consortium. Just like Rapier, that it puts the spotlight on hacking and infiltrating different systems and going through the networks and such, with the Secret War, this is excellent for a campaign that features all sorts of activities that you do not want the public to be aware of. Or if you want to paint a certain image in the in public view, this is the perfect supplement for that. This is an expansion that can turn any character into this secret agent in all of those spy versus spy, cloak and dagger type of situations, but in the science fiction setting of Era the Consortium. I think that it's going to be a bit more easy to play out as a phantom, to play the game as a phantom, because shades are so secret and they always work alone. It's very difficult to have a group around a particular shade. I think it's actually possible, because you could have a character that is actually a shade, but he doesn't want to reveal his true nature or purpose to the rest of the group. You could do that. It's quite usual for the shades to infiltrate different groups and work with them towards a certain objective without members of that group knowing that they are actually furthering the cause of the shades. And when it comes to the phantoms, you could have an entire team of phantoms. So even if you decide to become a shade or a phantom, the campaign will probably start out as a pretty standard affair, and suddenly you will be scouted for a particular purpose. So I think it will take a skilled game master to play out things from the side of the Shades or anything related to Hayden Bank, and it's going to be slightly easier to be like a Phantom, especially because they seem a bit more heroic. There could be some questionable things, but Phantoms are furthering their resistance, not too focused on control and domination, more focused on protecting the resistance. So you could say like the negative side of espionage and sabotage and assassination is represented by the Shades, and the lighter side would be the Phantoms, but there is a lot of room for interpretation and gray areas. So all things considered, if you want a campaign that focuses completely on those maneuvers, plans, and objectives, all of those moments where an agent has the choice of doing something that many people would consider underhanded, deceitful, and dishonorable even though both Shades and the Phantoms have their own code of honor, I highly recommend that you get the Secret War to enhance those aspects of your campaign. And once again, remember to check out the Kickstarter. It ends in December 2nd. So check the link in the description below. Well, thanks for watching my review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. See you later.